Andy Temko could not make it tonight. He called me at the last minute, and such a wonderful speaker and a close friend. So you can put him in our prayers. Did anyone see a movie called Defending Your Life many years ago? Please raise your hand. For me, it was a wake-up call. And being a wake-up call, we are here for many, many reasons. By the way, it starred Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep, matter of fact. Story of a man who was killed in a car accident, and he went to heaven, and he had to go into a court of law where there was a defending attorney and a prosecution attorney to decide where he was going to go after his time, after the trial, actually. So what they did is they showed part of his life, the good part of his life and the negative part of his life. And at the end of that, there was a decision made of where he was going to go from there. Was he going to go to another solar system? Was he going to come back to Earth because he still had issues here? He still had some desires to overcome? And then he met Meryl Streep, and it was kind of a romantic adventure, and everything turned out wonderful, but I wasn't really sure whether he was going to come back to Earth or whether he was going to go to another solar system. In my heart of hearts, I feel symbolically that it's kind of the story of our life. Because we've had hundreds of lifetimes, as you know. What are we doing here? And this is what this is about. What are we doing here? And how do we get to graduation? So we have a choice of saying, you want to go back to planet Earth? And by the way, you may have volunteered to come down right now.
Yeah.
You don't know that. You may have said, I'll come down and help create a new Earth. I'll use the power of my mind to create that. Or you came down here for other reasons. And one of the reasons is that we are in the center of a round table of individuals. And one of the big issues on this earth plane is how we handle difficult people. Oh, it's easy to deal with people who are, our brothers, our sisters, and all those wonderful things, who are always nice and so forth and so on. However, there is a test. And since we are in the center and attract exactly what we are, and what we desire, and what we deserve, and therefore the test is, here is the person. What do we do? Do we just say, oh my gosh, that's a mirror of me from another lifetime? Because it was. All people around you that you are attracted to emotionally are a mirror of you and I in other lifetimes. And it isn't easy. By the way, there's a perfect house on earth. It is so perfect, and it houses the perfect family. It is fantastic. And who lives in it? Nobody. Because you start out at the feet of the symbolic Nile River. And the left foot is mother, and the right foot is dad. And you were exactly like your parents in past lifetimes, because they were your children. Oh yes, they were your children. And the way they treated you, how you treated them, and it's those first seeds that you're born with, those first seeds that we are drawn to. And who are we drawn to? Who's there? It's mom and dad, basically. And all the essence of their soul growth of many lifetimes, all the lifetimes they've lived, and you've gone back and forth. And there's a family DNA going on here with the situation here. Because they're going to be back again. And my parents have passed away. And I know it's just like mom and dad, because I have a lot of their habits. You ever notice that? You ever feel the habits of your parents? Mm-hmm. Because those first impressions, emotionally, mentally, they all come into us, and then they grow. Out of a little seed grows a great oak tree. And what happens is those issues that happen in childhood, we have to deal with as we get older. And there's all the cycles of life. It's our youth. It's our time in school. And then when we go to college. And then we take our first job. By the way, those bosses you had in work, just like you were just that kind of boss. Isn't that interesting? And the way they treated you is the way you, as a boss, treated employees in other lifetimes. So all of a sudden, how do we handle these people? Do we say, oh my gosh, they're just like us in another lifetime? Or do we say, oh my God, what did I do to deserve this? What did I deserve to deal with that? And your spouses? Exactly like you. And by the way, in my marriage counseling, I always say when I'm talking to a person who's gone through a divorce, I said, you know, you went through a divorce. It's the most difficult thing you've ever gone through. And you know something? That's Christian crucifixion. That spouse you could not get along with. That was crucifixion. And guess what's coming? Resurrection. The next man in your life. He or she is your resurrection. So I always say, I want you to do something. I want you to think about what you want in a man or a woman. And you think about it, and you say, I want to find the perfect mate. You think about it, say it, and write it down. And it will be drawn to you. We have so much power with the power of mind. The law of attraction is fantastic because the magnets and mirrors in our life are phenomenal. They're right there. And if it's important, it's right there. And what do we do when it's right there? Do we overreact? Because we've all gone through challenges, and you know what? We've grown to the quality person that we are today, how we handle them. And Jesus was so right when he said, forgive him, Father, he knows not what he does. Because we earn them. And how we treat Judas, in my opinion, or the Judases, very few we have one, how we treat that person, and we do not hurt them. We do not hurt them. We do not spread rumors about them or share the story, because we realize how we treat Judas is so very important. One of the most important powers of graduating from this earth plane is one little word: habit. Habit is critical. And that's what we learned when I went through minister training as a Coptic minister way back in the 60s and 70s. I learned from the great masters. And they taught us about habit. And once you start something like a New Year's resolution, once you say you're going to do something, say, oh my gosh, I'm going to work out. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to lift weights. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to do it every day, every day, every day, every day. And what you do with that commitment that you said you were going to do is very, very important. Because this is about mastering this physical body and all of its desires. All of them. And we know the main ones. I've said it 100 times. Money, sex, and power. Nobody talks about it. They're all three wonderful. But those are the three things that we have to master. And it's all in the word Sphinx. Because when an Egyptian initiate went through the training program and got up to the Sphinx, because there was always a Coptic master or an Egyptian master waiting to say, are you ready to go on to the higher chakra? And the Sphinx is right here. And you're evaluated at that level by the Coptic master or the Egyptian master of saying, it's time for you to go into the Great Pyramid energy, and then you go up into the Great Pyramid. And all the way through the system of the physical body. And when we go to Egypt, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be spending a lot of time dealing with the chakra system. The same one Hamid Bey went through when he was a younger man. When he had at the solar plexus, he had to jump into the Nile River and swim across the river. And guess what's in the river? Crocodiles. And you have to, that student going up the Nile had to reason, is it intuitively right for me to go in the river? And some didn't make it. Hamid Bey told me the story. I spent a lot of time on Hamid Bey. He told me those stories about some of the initiates going up the Nile that did not get over the Nile. And that's the power of what, now we don't go through anything like that, of course, but symbolically. And that solar plexus is all about power. Will I meditate? Will I exercise? Will I pray every day for the benefit of the world? And sometimes you don't. And sometimes you get off the path. And what I recommend is forgive yourself, pat yourself on the back for what you've done, and start all over again. And when the things in life that's so important is when we fail, we have to just say, oh, I did it again. I forgive myself, I'm going to pick myself up, and I'm going to start all over again. And some people can't do it because they go through that feelings of, oh, if only. And in my numerology readings, I always take people through the forgiveness exercise, and I always say, you're carrying a rope, and at the end of the rope is a rock, and on it says, if only. We have to cut that lock and release it, because nobody's perfect. See, what really happens with religion, the Christians think Jesus is perfect. The Jews think Moses is perfect. The Buddhists think Buddha is perfect, but you know, they weren't either. There's nobody perfect here because of the fact this is a tough school, schoolmates, because we are in a school of learning. And that's why, what do we do when we get through high school? We graduate. What do we do when we get through college? We graduate. We had a graduation yesterday. It was a wonderful, wonderful day, by the way. A fantastic day. It was such a wonderful family feeling here, where people went through that initiation, and when they were ordained, they went through a very challenging course, and they did it. So this whole thing of dealing with the mind and its powers, and what I want you to consider doing is every day use two words. I am love, I'm joy, I'm peace, I'm strength, I'm might, I'm power, I'm success, I'm happiness, I am light, I am healthy, I am mentally sharp. I feel love, I feel joy, I feel peace, I feel strength, I feel might, I feel power, I feel success, I feel happiness, I feel light. That changes you. You state your new creation in this physical body. You are a God of this body. And that God says and has certain laws. And what it says, when you start something, finish it. I did a lot of counseling with alcoholics. A lot of it. And very few made it through, by the way. And I always said during that time, at the end of what I was saying, I'd say, you're at a point right here. If you stop drinking, your life is going to take a positive shift upward. If you don't, I'm not going the other way. You know what's going to happen. You have to give up drinking one day at a time. And the first thing you got to do, you got to get rid of your alcoholic friends. That's a tough one. Because after you get through something, after 4 months and you've given up drinking, you go out with your buddies. And and you want to order a Coke, but they say to you, hey, you've got this beat. Just take one little drink. So you see, think of the temptations on this earth plane. Think of the volume of temptations that are on the earth plane. They're phenomenal. We know that they are. And what we have to do is sometimes the word no is a positive. I'm not saying K-N-O-W either. I'm saying N-O, no, I will not. And when does this happen? It's when we're celebrating or when we are depressed. That's when we are tempted to fill that void of the failure or what we're struggling with or whatever is going on in our life. And that basically just determines whether we graduate from the airplane. It sounds symbolic, but it's more than that. Some famous people in history had the number 71. Here are some of those people. One was Thoth, the first priest king of Atlantis. Another one was Moses. And another one was Merlin. And what does 71 represent? Seventh chakra, first chakra. What they were saying symbolically, and they were teaching their disciples, you have to raise your energy from the root chakra to the top. And if you do, you will graduate from this earth plane. And the challenge of that 71 is number 6. I don't want the responsibility for that. I don't want the responsibility. And by the way, this thing with Thoth, he overlighted all the Amenhotep pharaohs in Egypt. When you analyze Amenhotep from the spiritual level, it adds up to Thoth. The energy of Thoth, which by the way, the United States of America emulated and created the pure democracy, he's given credit on July 4th of 1776. This was one of the greatest men who ever lived, and nobody's ever heard their name. His name, by the way, but the founding fathers knew, and they said, we're going to give him credit, because they were numerologists too. So what I'm asking you to do is just take 20 minutes a day to meditate. Wake up in the morning, drink a glass of lemon and water. I've been doing it for 40 years. It's automatic. Eat fruit for breakfast. Eat like a king for breakfast, queen for lunch, pauper for dinner. And only eat food that is beneficial to you. Because we have to master our eating habits to, again, graduate. As we move into what we call the second birth, everybody in this room has had a second birth. You went to a spiritual reading, a psychic reading. You went and heard a talk, a speech that kind of turned it on for you. You had the ability to understand that this is so very important. And it's really basing it down to something very, very, very simplistic. Right now, we're in a phase of we can really do some co-creation here. And you're being called tonight. You probably heard this before, but this is important. One of the reasons you incarnated is to live during this time period of fantastic shift. It's a shifting thing. And the first one is every cycle lasts 9 years. And the first year of a cycle is springtime. And when you have springtime, what do? You plant seeds. In the United States of America, they're waiting for you. Your country needs you. Because this 9-year cycle began July 4th of 2015 and ends July 3rd of 2016. And after that, no springtime. What do you want for the future of America? because it's in your hands and people like us. We have no idea the power of prayer and thought projection. We have no idea how powerful we are. We are powerful spiritual beings, powerful beyond our belief. But what we do is, I know what I'm praying for. We're going to have the greatest economy in the history of the United States. And the United States is going to be a prototype of world peace. And they're going to move in and say, peace, peace, peace upon the earth. With many, 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 many countries to be that prototype. And as I speak, and as we pray, it will manifest. It may take 9 days, 9 months, 9 years, 90 years. However, it will happen. And we are the ones. We are the world servers. The world, and by the way, our world starts right here. Here's the lower oval of the 8, and here's the higher oval of the 8, and the higher oval of the 8 is the world. And this is the physical part of us, okay? So it goes like this. Mind power, thought projection, praying, all happens in the world. And then it comes down here and manifests here, and then expands outward, up and down. Because the word prayer has 2 R's, and R means mirror. If you have an R in your life is a mirror. On the physical level, it's your first name. If it's a second level R, it's your middle name. If it's your spiritual R and your last name, you have a lot of this. That person in your life is there. That situation is here. It's very, very challenging. And guess what? The power of prayer has 2 R's. So the prayer goes down into the conscious and the subconscious mind. And it goes upward. The other R goes up into the superconscious. Because you are here to become superconscious. We have many heroes. We have so many heroes. I used to be a Superman guy. And I love Batman. And I love Superwoman, right? Why are they there? They're mirrors of the potential superconscious mind. That's what they are. That's how powerful we are. That's why they're there. Spirit created Batman, Superman. And by the way, Spirit communicates with us so very simply. A simple thought from their mind into our mind. We think it's our thought. We think it's ours. It's our guides. Just plant a little seed. It's time. It's time for you to start dealing with diet, meditation, exercise. It's time for you to pray for the planet. And by the way, that change of the planet starts January 1 of 2017 of a new physical, mental, emotional for the whole planet. So we're going to have a big celebration here on January 1. We're going to be praying for a lot of great things because we are now in charge of the planet. We, the world servers, are in charge to plant those seeds. And what are we going to talk about? Only positivity, love, light, oneness, complete world peace. The world is one family. We've lived in all those countries. We've been there with all those people, and they need us. And if we don't have to travel there, we can just project the energy with our intention as a superconscious being. As Jesus said, don't you know ye are gods to his disciples? So are we. We have power. And the more pure that power is, the more powerful of the superconscious mind. Because that superconscious mind is super, but it's all for the benefit of all other people. We are here to touch lives. I've told you before what the name, what the symbolic energy of tongue is. It's in my book, Revelation for Our Time. The Lord. You mean the Lord is our tongue? Absolutely. This tongue? We're the Lord. Be careful what you say. It's going to come back. Well, you gotta be kidding me. Well, there's 3 fingers pointing at you and one at him or her. What's this about? Takes one to know one, doesn't it? Yeah, right. And what we're here to do is say, You know, that person going through some struggles, and I happen to be his Judas. He's taking it out on me, but he's also mine, and I'm not going to hurt him. I'm going to pray for him. It's going to be tough because I remember what he did to me. It wasn't a happy time. Jesus said it very, very simply. Forgive him, Father. He knows not what he does. These things are simple quips. They are simple actions, but they change your life. And who benefits? You, your self-image. And I used to talk to my alcoholics. They said, well, I had a drink the other night, but nobody knew about it. I said, the most important person knew about it, you. Mm-hmm. We all have those times when we want to dive into our addiction, whatever that might be. I'm not going to go through the addictions. You know what they are. You have to release them. Release them. And get ready for graduation. When you go to the other side, your guides are going to be waiting for you. Your family's going to be there. Think of it. All the people you've known in your life, the relatives that have lived, they're going to say, welcome home. And we've had a lot of speakers here who have gone to the other side. One of my closest friends, Ahmed Fayed, who was my Egyptian guide for 15, 20 years. He got in a car accident, went to the other side. One of the greatest men I've ever met. Came back and said, wow, that place is beautiful. It is wonderful. It is pure love, pure light. Oh, I hated to come back, but I had to come back and finish some stuff here. So this talk tonight has all been about you and your graduation. Graduation day. We're going to do it. We're going to make it. So that's my input on what are we doing here? Going to school. A darn tough school, boy. Holy smoke. Oh, it's great up here, but how about down here? Oh my God, you see what I'm going through. I can't believe it. Crucifixion. Never heard that saying, wait 24 hours? It happens all the time. That bad day, the next day, it's great. What happens? It's the test of that day 24 hours later. It's amazing. And you've all gone through that. What's it shift in 24 hours? A little test going on here, a little earth test. So what I want you to get out of this is just think about the simplicity of your life and reinforce and tell yourself how wonderful you are. Because one thing we're missing in the life is self-love. We don't love ourselves enough. We are wonderful, wonderful people who are trying to live a wonderful, magnificent life. And sometimes we just don't do well. Say, I'm love, I'm joy, I'm peace, I'm strength, I am might, I'm power, I'm success, I'm happiness, I'm light. And wiggle that tongue, Lords, and everybody around you. You'll be a prototype, and they'll say, I want to become just like her. I want to become just like him. Because you are a prototype of love and life and magnificence. God bless.